Hey guys, what's up? Loco here. For you today, I have TSM versus CLG. So this used to be the El Clasico. This used to be the biggest matchup in North America and probably in the world when it comes to League of Legends. But yeah, it's not that anymore. It still is a fun matchup. It's just that TSM and CLG aren't at top of the standings. They aren't the most relevant teams. I would say C9 and Team Liquid have been the two strongest and the most relevant teams in North America for the last 2 years. But nonetheless, it is still a fun matchup, and whoever loses, the subreddits get so salty. So without further ado, let's get started with the draft. CLG actually showing some limitations with their players. They're banning out Set and Yuumi. Set and Yuumi are probably one of the most first pickable champions on blue side on 10.4, so yeah, not the greatest sign that they're banning those out. And the Xayah ban is a ban towards Kabe, very typical. It's been TSM's best AD carry, no reason not to ban it. So the Tahm Kench first pick is signaling that they want to play fasting Senna most likely. Tahm Kench and Senna are extremely strong as a duo together, and by picking up the Kench first, you're telling the other team, hey, we want to pick Senna. TSM recognizing that exactly and picking away the Senna. One good thing that a lot of people might miss about picking the Senna away from CLG is, yes, it does break the Tahm Kench Senna combo, but Senna is actually a really good champion into Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench doesn't have a lot of kill pressure on ranged champions, and Senna can freely push. She can poke the Tahm Kench, get a lot of souls. So yeah, it's a really favorable matchup for her. I would love to see teams pick other counters into Tahm Kench, but at the very least, we are starting with Senna. I really like this pick. Along with the Senna, TSM picking the Jarvan. I also think Rumble is a bit of a takeaway pick. Jarvan and Rumble together are an extremely strong teamfight comp, and by them taking Rumble early, it denies that combo. So a lot of back and forth between both teams in the earlier parts of the draft. Now, when we get to the later parts of the draft, the pick that stands out to me as really odd is the Rek'Sai. A lot of people talked about how it doesn't really fit in with the CLG draft. CLG draft is very teamfight focused. There aren't a lot of lanes that the Rek'Sai can really work with and gank for on CLG. And someone mentioned Trundle as a really good pick here, and I have to agree. Trundle versus these immobile carries of TSM is really great. Versus Senna, she has to burn flash. Versus Zoe, it's also really bad. And also versus Ezreal too. So yeah, and even versus the melee champions, you can just ult them and start whacking them. So I actually think Trundle would have been really good here, and CLG would have had kind of a counter poke, counter scaling comp. Now let's look at both comps and their win condition. For TSM, they're trying to poke and teamfight. They don't have a lot of split push, unfortunately. Mordekaiser and Zoe really aren't split push champions. And yeah, their core win condition is going to be poke. But here's the problem. When we look at CLG's comp, they actually have really great anti-poke champions. Rumble's actually one of the best anti-poke champions in the game. He has a long-range ult that's great on the squishy poke champions. And yeah, it's really long range, and that's something that poke champions really struggle with, right? They want to maintain that distance and they want to poke you, but champions like Rumble, champions like Malphite, champions like Ornn that have long range engages can really be a hamper on the poke champions of TSM. And also for the Viktor, traditionally he isn't a champion that's very good against poke, but when you have some setup with the Varus, with the Rumble, his ult can actually do so much damage on the squishy poke champions of TSM. So I actually think in terms of comp, CLG is going to have a much easier time executing, and the later the game goes and as Rumble and Viktor get stronger, I think it's going to be really hard for TSM. TSM needs to be very on point about landing the pokes. They do have avenues they can win. Zoe and Ezreal still are a really good core when it comes to poking. They still have the Senna for the ult and the heal to negate the Rumble. But yeah, it's going to require a lot of finesse and a lot of not clumping and proper positioning. So without further ado, let's get started with the gameplay. The first play I have for you is CLG's gank attempt on Broken Blade. Broken Blade's pushed out in an awkward situation, Ruin missing his E, Broken Blade proccing his passive fast as possible, getting away from Wiggly, Wiggly flashing in there, and Broken Blade smartly using his E to push both members back. And because Ruin doesn't have his flash from having it burned earlier, they're not going to be able to get this kill. We have Kabe teleporting in and going on Wiggly. He already used his E. It's extremely long cooldown in the earlier parts of the game. Ooh, Dardoch missing his EQ flash, but they're still able to get the kill. Nicely done from TSM. And just really awkward from CLG's part. And this is one of the problems regarding ganking a Mordekaiser. If you're not able to burst him down, he actually has very good defense versus melee champions getting on top of him. Throughout the entirety of early game, TSM really made sure Kabe and Bifrost can push as much as they want without having to worry about jungle pressure. So they are going to be able to get this turret early. But here's the problem though. CLG is going to reply with mid lane turret, and this turret is actually way more meaningful than the bot lane turret just due to it being on the center part of the map. It also leading to Dragon priority and Baron priority later, so yeah, not the best trade for TSM. TSM gave away 2 dragons to CLG in the early game, so they have to be really cautious about giving up any more or it's going to come to Dragon Soul point. They're in the river early, but I really don't like what they're doing here. They should be controlling the choke point on the left side and making sure it's hard for CLG to come in here. They have the Zoe, they have the Ezreal, they have the Senna. I just don't understand why they want to start this dragon and allow CLG to walk in so freely. That's the whole point about setting up dragon first, making sure your opponent has to walk in through a choke point and getting damage on them and controlling that small zone. Now CLG walking in freely, clearing out the vision, and just getting exactly what they wanted here. We can see Rumble ported in from the bot side. He's going to ult the choke right there. And we have Dardoch actually coming in with the dragon and Broken Blade ulting Stixxay. Now look at Pobelter here. He actually ends up making the exact same mistake that TSM did. Pobelter should be using his W and ultimate on that small choke point on the blue side. It prevents TSM's squishy carries from coming in, but instead he went to the dragon pit to finish off Broken Blade, which he didn't need to do at all. I just don't understand how professional players don't understand this small choke point thing. It is a huge concept and a concept that's been around forever and that they should know. Like, the game has been around controlling dragons and Baron buff for such a long time. It is just mind-blowing watching the teams play this way. Now, they're going to finish off Dardoch. Ooh, he actually ends up getting out. Bio with a great ult. And Bjergsen landing the nice sleep on Tahm Kench, able to finish him off. But yeah, still so messy when it didn't need to be like this. So this is right after the dragon fight, and you can see Dardoch and Bjergsen resetting. Broken Blade coming here to place the ward. He's actually going to end up getting pretty easily picked off by the Rumble and the Rek'Sai, and this gives CLG an opportunity to push on both mid and top lane. You can see Bio coming to cover, you can see Dardoch coming to cover. The turret's pretty full, and also the Rumble used his ult already, so I don't think they're going to be able to siege much. They'll probably have to rotate to mid lane. Looks like that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, this happens a lot with Viktor. Viktor gets priority so easily. I don't know what Dardoch's doing. He should know that CLG was rotating mid side and he's going to end up getting chunked out and TSM loses mid turret. I do think they were going to lose that mid turret anyways, but it's really important you don't get impatient later on in the game because mistakes like this are very costly. It ends up giving the enemy team free vision. Sometimes it can mean they get to do dragon. So yeah, just a lot of mistakes from TSM's end. We have Dragon coming up. Both teams want to fight for priority on mid lane so they can get to river first. TSM trying to land pokes. CLG replying with Viktor laser, clearing the wave instantly. Bjergsen with a nice poke on Smoothie and able to land the Drowsy on Varus. Smoothie gonna have to eat him up right away. And now you can see TSM grouped up here. Huge mistake. They grouped up to clear the ward and also they're next to a wall. So when the Rumble ult comes down, they don't have a lot of places to go. And this was one of the weaknesses we talked about regarding TSM's comp. They're very vulnerable to the long range engage of Rumble. They really had to be more conscious of it and made sure they were spread out and not clumped like this. Ruin spotted a great opportunity, taking full advantage. I'm not sure why Broken Blade went for a Q. He's going to end up burning Flash and dying anyways due to the Varus Q. And now TSM's going to get pushed out. They can't walk back into river. And it's going to be a free dragon for CLG. Very nicely done on Ruin's part. Very similar situation to last time, Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, both teams fighting for priority right here. You can see Ruin off on the side, going for ult on Bjerg, not that meaningful, Varus ult on Bio, he also flashes out. Now, just look at Viktor, laser, ult, and the Lichbane proc. Oh my god, that is just so much damage. And then the Viktor ult finishing off Bjergsen. I don't think Ruin and Stixxay or anyone else on CLG did much there. It was just all Pobelter landing his spells on both Bjerg and Broken Blade, chunking out Broken Blade entirely and killing Bjergsen almost by himself combined with the Ruin ult. And now they're able to get Baron pretty freely. CLG realizing that the Dragon's coming up and maybe they can fight for that too, leaving 3 members here and the Tahm Kench taking himself and Pobelter to contest for the Dragon. It's going to be a 2v2. Oh, not a 2v2 anymore. TSM porting Broken Blade in there. Smoothie flashing out from the grasp. And TSM able to get the Dragon luckily. If they didn't get Dragon and they gave over both Baron and the Dragon Soul, it would be like a nightmare situation. I mean, the situation's still bad. Broken Blade ends up TPing in and dying anyway, so yeah, really good for CLG. CLG was able to get mid inhibitor turret, and Baron ran out and most of the members are also spread out, and now they're rotating to bot side. Pobelter kind of just doing it by himself, but he's a level 18 Viktor, it doesn't matter. He gets the assistant of the Rumble ult, but also just his damage combined with Smoothie and Stixxay porting in means, yeah, Dardoch's gonna die. It looked like Pobe was alone, but Rumble was there to help with the ult. And also, much like myself, TSM didn't realize, hey, CLG can show up here anytime by using the Tomkin ult. Very similar situation to the last few times. Dragon coming up, both teams want to fight for it. But the problem is, CLG has scaled to the point where Viktor is just a god. Viktor with Death Cap, Lichbane, and the fully upgraded Hextech item means he's able to kill pretty much anyone. It doesn't matter if you're tanky. I mean, if you're squishy, you're just gonna die in one go. So yeah, this is the power of late game Viktor. Now, CLG does not have Baron, but they do have Dragon Soul, and it is late enough in the game where they feel like they don't need it. And Rumble ult like this, even if they don't kill anyone, it pushes people out. Dardoch's engaging when Bjergsen had to back up, so that engage just was not going to work, and yeah, you can see the Viktor damage coming in. I'm telling you guys, Viktor is one of the best scaling champions, and later on in the game, this is the kind of things he's able to do. The combination of laser or the Q auto with the Lichbane proc means you're able to just pop anyone, and you still have an AoE ult on top of that. The champion's just way too crazy at this point in the game. And it's going to be a victory for CLG. I don't think TSM did any favors for themselves with the draft they had, and also CLG just played really well with the Rumble and the Viktor and were able to scale to the point where, yeah, their team fight was unstoppable and TSM just could not poke them, could not engage on them. They just didn't have options later on in the game once Rumble and the Viktor got strong enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It was such a surprise for me watching CLG beat TSM. I didn't get to watch the match live, but when I saw my Twitter feed going crazy, I knew something happened. It is so crazy that CLG was 1-9 and the team looked like they were just gonna implode. And yeah, they were able to take a game off of TSM, who looked like either the second or the third best team in the league. I guess that's just the Pobelter effect. That kid is a monster on Viktor. I cannot say it enough. It actually brings back bad memories. In 2015 Summer Finals, I was head coach of TSM and we played versus CLG and we got 3-0'd versus Pobelter's Viktor. Some things never change. So if you guys like this video or have any questions or things you disagree with, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. It really helps me. I'm at around 35% subscribers for my videos. I would really like to push it up to at least 50%. And yeah, for those of you guys that watch and aren't subscribed, really just subscribe. Press that button. It helps me a lot. I'll make higher quality videos. It's a win-win for both of us. And one last thing, can never forget, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco. Bye!